When Charlie Kirk was killed, his wife Erika took over at Turning Point USA. But she's incapable of doing the fake debates that his fans loved, and I'll show you why. I'm Amanda Marcotte. Welcome to Standing Room Only. I want to kick off this video by stating what should be obvious. I fully condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk in Utah earlier in September. The way he was killed, however, is no reason to whitewash his legacy. For instance, one of the most popular video clips on his website involves a college girl having a wardrobe malfunction.
Do you feel proud of yourself for debating college kids?
I vote and you vote, so I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization.
The angle just really highlights the receding hairlines on this side of the aisle. Both him and Vivek are just foreheads.
I don't think that you're understanding the implications of the laws that are trying to be passed.
What laws are you talking about? Can you be specific?
I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, but this is what you do. This is what you do. You take people and you put them under the spotlight.
I'm not here to argue if that was an accident or if she did it on purpose. Either way, Charlie's reaction was gross. "She tries to flash me," declared one headline. In another one, he promised that he wrecked this girl. But if you actually listen to the video, she's right. It is silly that he debated teenagers. He did manipulate his audience with editing and headlines. He did it to her. He tried to frame her as a dumb slut, when in fact, she was very brave. This video got more than 10 million views on YouTube alone. Almost no one engaged with her points. Most of the commenters are men calling her stupid. "But Amanda," I can hear you viewers saying, "you said this video was about Erika, not Charlie." Erika is Charlie's widow. On September 18th, she was named CEO of Turning Point USA. That was the organization that Charlie founded in 2012. Well, this video is about why Erika can't really replace Charlie, but to understand that, you need to know what Charlie was actually about. Ezra Klein of the New York Times said that Charlie did politics the right way.
What was your disagreement with what I wrote after Kirk was assassinated? Was silence not an option?
I have to wonder if he saw videos like this. If he did, he missed the point. It's all MAGA rage bait, and now we're going to prove it.
And these January 6th defendants did not have their human rights respected by the Biden Department of Justice. That is what these pardons are all about. Saying we're going to just raise tax on the billionaires, that statement, you just violated 2 out of the 10 commandments.
That's not true.
Thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not covet. We're going to go take other people's money.
How is that stealing?
Because it's their money. So did you know that if you have sex with an intoxicated person, you're a rapist? Did you know that? Free sex drives young women insane.
These kids are the people that think discourse is meaningful. These kids are the people that are actually arguing in good faith. And they just get no credit, they're just objectified. What I love about these videos, though, is that every kid in them is all of us. It actually took Charlie a while to figure out how to be an effective right-wing organizer. Watch our previous video on him. You'll see he was secular before he took a turn to Christian nationalism. But these fake debates were the linchpin of his success. He built his empire on videos promising the humiliation of sexy liberal girls. He also had videos where he said he was owning liberal men and LGBTQ people, but the misogynist stuff was generally more popular. During Pass the Mic, I'll discuss why this isn't really debate with my guest, Drew McCoy, aka the Genetically Modified Skeptic. Charlie and Erika met in 2018, and their story of how has changed a few times.
I met Erika for the first time at this office, Turning Point USA office.
So we're here at Bill's Burgers in New York City, and right near this very table was the first time Dada met Mama, and it started as a job interview.
And I was standing in the ticket line, and I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. That ended up being Charlie.
There's something about like the right, they all have to have this like incredibly performative meet cute story. Makes you appreciate Usha Vance being like, I don't know.
Our first date was just hanging out. We watched a movie together, and you know, then our second date was probably eating in the law school cafeteria.
Super
we
sexy.
were just sort of around each other at all times.
She's like, when did I fall in love with JD? Have I yet? Office, airport, burger joint. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that their marriage has always been fully entwined with the business. TPUSA even sponsored their wedding reception in 2021, which doubled as a fundraiser for the group. Erika's job was to be a counterpoint to the supposedly slutty feminists that Charlie was meeting at these college debates. She wore fluffy, pink, and floral clothing. It was often cartoonishly hyper-feminine. She was usually photographed gazing adoringly up at her husband. They made a big deal out of the fact that she was Miss Arizona USA that one time. While Charlie took an aggro stance with the college kids, Erika played up this right-wing femininity.
It's a beautiful thing as a wife to be able to encourage your husband, be that biblical wife that you're supposed to be for him.
I love submitting to Charlie because he's a phenomenal leader, and the way that he loves me, like, melts me to want to be able to help. How can I help you?
Don't worry about the school. Don't worry about the job. I actually think that that's some form of feminism, to be so caught up in, I have to have this career and I have to have this and I have to that. It's a distraction. The enemy loves that.
I love submitting to Charlie. Okay, can you just keep that where it belongs, in the bedroom? She continued this trad wife theme at his memorial, where she was greeted with a fireworks display.
I was Charlie's confidant. I didn't make him feel guilty for being away too long or too much or getting home too late. Women, I have a challenge for you too. Be virtuous. Our strength is found in God's design for our role. And if you're a mother, please recognize that is the single most important ministry you have.
She said all this after she was already appointed the CEO, so it's anyway. MAGA celebrated this tribute to submissive womanhood. One viral post even declared that Erika had ended the feminist movement. Still here. But just as quickly, a lot of women online started to call BS because Erika is a working woman with multiple degrees. She's even 5 years older than Charlie. Let's hear from the ladies that were supposedly ended.
Do you know why Erika Kirk is able to take over Turning Points USA? She has 3 degrees, and she had a career before she met Charlie.
Just for the record, the feminist movement is why Erika Kirk got to choose. She got an education, several degrees.
She didn't get married at age 20 like me. She has a podcast and a clothing company. She was a realtor for this posh real estate company in New York. She's a powerful woman.
Yep. Turns out that Erika Kirk used to think a lot more like her critics. She wasn't always a warrior for traditional womanhood.
That stigma of a pageant girl is the complete opposite of who I am. I very rarely wear heels. It just is not me.
So I'm more of the entrepreneur, young women empowerment lane.
And I think that's so important too, to be able to deliver fresh content in a different way and in a way that's not left or right and not politically stigmatized being Democrat or Republican, and I think that's really cool and important.
This hypocrisy is normal for female leaders of the MAGA movement. They all love to preach the gospel of submissive wifehood while actually making a lot of money and being powerful women in the world. In itself, this duplicity will not get in the way of Erika's rise. No, the real problem for her is that a woman just can't sell Charlie's shtick. Charlie was an aspirational figure for his male audience. They wished they could go on campus and condescend to cute college girls. They'd love to berate those liberal dudes that they're often otherwise jealous of, but they know they can't pull it off. They'd be ignored or mocked or worse, have campus security called on them. They were just there for the provocative visual of an older Charlie looking down on and owning these supposedly ruined girls. It was entertainment. Erika can't replace that. Like she said during the memorial, her whole role was to be this housewife fantasy. She's supposed to be fluffing pillows and waiting for her man while he's out there doing the hard work of being a jerk to college girls. I guess she could go out there and try to fake debate some kids. I just don't think it would work. It's a very male fantasy. The whole thing is about a very masculine form of domination. I don't think his audience wants to hear it from a woman, especially one whose whole brand is doting wife. My guest today is Drew McCoy of the Genetically Modified Skeptic. Welcome to Standing Room Only, Drew.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your work, so I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Same. I love your channel. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you here. So you are an atheist who used to be a fundamentalist Christian, and you did do debates with people that are still fundamentalist creationists and the ilk. And you did a video about why you stopped doing that. And I found it really compelling. So I wanted to bring you on to explain why you find the debate format, at least with these people, to be inadequate and you quit doing it.
Yeah, so I think this really starts a few years ago, just post-COVID, with a man named Sean McDowell. He's a Christian apologist, Christian evangelist, and professor at a Christian university in Southern California called Biola. And his kind of whole shtick is he does what he calls atheist role play, which is unfortunately much less kinky than it sounds. He would tour around the world, actually. He's done this in the Philippines even, pretending to be an atheist in front of Christian congregations so that evangelical Christians could get practice debating an atheist instead of, having to actually talk to us at all. That's his ministry. That's effectively what he does. He made some videos about this several years ago. I made a video critiquing this, saying in particular, in evangelical culture, atheists like me who used to be evangelical, used to be fundamentalist, are often dehumanized, especially by our own parents. And I think that his practice just furthers that by treating us as things to be debated rather than just human beings that you could have a conversation with, right? And so, surprisingly, this kind of online exchange turned into somewhat of a friendship, like a budding relationship that was both professional and personal. I did some live streams on his channel where we talked in a very friendly, cordial way, but also sometimes challenged each other. Sometimes it was somewhat like a debate. And then we would talk offline, just personally. I told him things about my parents that I don't talk about online even. And I thought he was kind of there to help me. The whole thing was predicated on, he's willing to listen to me and my critiques of what he's doing to dehumanize atheists. So for me, this relationship kind of made sense. Now, when I started doing this, I started getting tons and tons of invites onto Christian and even right-wing, even somewhat far-right media to come on and be the atheist foil for the Christian that they were actually promoting. And I didn't see those opportunities as opportunities. I saw that as kind of being potentially used to promote a media ecosystem that I don't think is very healthy. So I turned those down, but I felt like, okay, Sean is different than these guys, and at least I'll take solace in that. Now, eventually, Sean McDowell messages me and is like, hey, I would like to tell the story of our blossoming friendship and my niceness to you, Drew, on Fox News. I would like to tell Fox News about this.
Okay.
For the purpose of promoting my next book. I looked into the book that he was promoting with this, though, and this is what really cemented my opinion on Sean from then on out. The book that Sean was writing and trying to promote on Fox News with the story of his relationship with me was a book that was directly advocating for his atheist role play. This led to a larger revelation for me that, atheists and just kind of like more left-leaning people in general are often just used as pawns for the Christian and right-wing media ecosystem in order to stage conflict, which actually very much benefits the religious right in staging. So it didn't really matter the criticisms that I was giving to Sean. What really mattered is that I showed myself willing to cooperate with him to produce media that would allow him to benefit from some kind of online sensation. And after that realization, I just thought, I have to get into a different line of work, essentially. I can't keep being a prop for right-wing media to benefit, because for me, this is actually about mending relationships. This is actually about trying to make the world a better place. And I'm not going to do that by helping The Blaze or Breitbart or Fox get better ratings.
Yeah, it's always a conundrum, because I think that there's a reason sometimes to get into these spaces and make your points. Maybe you can disrupt their narratives and you can reach people. But then, yeah, sometimes you're just there to be the heel in their little wrestling match. And I think you really have to have discernment in what is what. I think sometimes it's not black and white. I won't go on Fox News. They've asked me a million times. And it's because I tell them, I'll go on if you will not cut my mic and you won't edit it. If we can just go live to camera, and they won't do that because the whole point is to manipulate the situation.
Right.
But I will go on like right-wing talk radio, because a lot of people are just listening to it in their car. And I think there's an opportunity there to maybe speak to somebody you might not otherwise hear you, but it's a tough thing.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's not just a job to be someone online that goes and debates people for money, essentially. Like, this is a very personal project that I am directly affected by, and so I take it very seriously because of that.
So this video is about Charlie Kirk. Obviously, his recent murder is tragic, but I think a lot of people are assessing his entire shtick of going on to college campuses and having these debates with college kids. I want to hear your opinion of that particular version of this kind of performative debate that you used to be engaged in.
Charlie Kirk built, his reputation, sure, on debate and doing these college debates, but what he really built his career on was being directly tied into the Republican Party for many years. He's had the ear of Trump since long before Trump 2.0. He's a part of the right-wing political establishment in a major way, and I think that comes first, and he's a social media guy kind of second. So what was he trying to accomplish? The very first thing that he did in his career was to create hundreds of college groups, to normalize right-wing extremism on campuses across the country. On January 6, 2021, I don't know if you know this, but he actually sent 80 buses, not 80 people, 80 buses full of people, and essentially helped create an insurrection against our government. He also created Turning Point Faith, which was a program to teach pastors how to use right-wing political extremism to essentially recruit for their churches. He advised Trump on his campaign strategy for 2024, and he took the KKK's conspiracy theory called The Great Replacement and promoted it on podcasts so loudly and so openly that it became mainstream. And in doing that, he helped accomplish a lot of his kind of more ideological goals and practical goals, which were, trying to create a government that was run by Christians for Christians. That's what he wanted. He wanted to repeal the Civil Rights Act. He wanted to make 19th century racialism taught as fact. He wanted ICE to violently kidnap non-white people, put them in concentration camps. He said that he wanted to bring back public executions, and particularly of gay people. And so with all of that, we have to have that very present in our minds when we're analyzing his debates. I'm sure I'm telling you things that you already know, right? What did his debates actually accomplish then? I don't think that he furthered these goals or accomplished these goals through the debates. No, he accomplished those things through actual political power and ties to real political institutions. What he accomplished through debates was creating an appearance that he was just, just one of us, one of the American people. He's just a guy who talks to other guys. He's not one of the most powerful political influencers in the world. That he just wanted to influence the world through speech and not through extreme violence, which he openly said that he did and that he actually helped bring about for real. They also helped create the illusion that he was, and that his side is, amenable to debate and reason and argument, and that he didn't inform his positions based on the power that he could gain from his ties to a political institution.
Yeah.
And then lastly, he maddeningly created this illusion that if people want to challenge people like him and like Trump and like Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth, all they really have to do is just talk to them nicely. You know, they shouldn't organize, they shouldn't get together and build real political and material power for themselves. They just need to go on camera and talk nice to them. And, you know, unfortunately, since Charlie Kirk's death, liberals and conservatives have been portraying him as someone who did politics the right way, to quote Ezra Klein. Gavin Newsom is also one of these people. They bought into this PR campaign that was meant to make Christian fascism look like a reasonable and fair idea, and one that was being won through perfectly legitimate and fair means, which we know that it is not.
That's a really good point. Like the theater of the debate made it seem like it was this discursive part of our democracy when it just really wasn't.
What really mattered was the kind of personal persona and brand that he gained from engaging people in fair discussion. You know, the college student who was actually speaking to him when he was shot, was speaking to Charlie Kirk when he was shot. Incredibly traumatic experience. I can hardly imagine what this kid had to go through actually seeing this. But he went on an interview later on Andrew Callahan's channel 5 here on YouTube, and one of the things that he said was that while he totally disagreed, you know, with Charlie Kirk, he saw him as a political opponent, at least what he did was just level the playing field, and he gave a platform to anyone. He was willing to give a platform to anybody who would challenge him. And so in that, he truly was embracing a democratic approach to politics. And of course,
that's not true.
No, it's not true. And of course, a college student who isn't particularly politically aware might think something like this, because they've bought into the idea that like just social media and debates with social media figures is what politics is. When, you know, in reality, Charlie Kirk was advising Netanyahu on how to, you know, get away with genocide, while also balancing the way that it has affected rises in anti-Semitism in the United States. And so, no, you know, Charlie Kirk did not believe in democracy, but, you know, doing social media debates with kids even convinced, like, not just the kids he debated, but like the governor of California that he loved democracy somehow.
And it's even sort of built into the format of these videos, which is, like you said, Charlie's brand is getting bolstered. He's the hero of the videos. He's the one with the name. The kids are nameless figures. They're kind of interchangeable. They're all just like libs that are getting owned. And so the notion that this is anything close to like an even-handed debate is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. The editing power after the fact, like you said, is something that should absolutely be emphasized.
You're somebody who did change their mind. You used to be a fundamentalist Christian. Now that you're an atheist, you used to be right-wing. Now you're like progressive. So obviously you believe that discourse is important. You believe that there is value in changing people's minds, that it's not at all just organizing. So what would you want to see in the world? How can we actually have these kinds of these discussions that can change people's minds? Because I think everybody does want that to be a part of our body politic.
Yeah. One of the things I want to highlight is when people talk about, we just need to talk to each other more. We need to have open dialogues. A lot of the time, people are saying that to kind of run defense for a certain type of social media content. And I want to be clear that when I am saying I do think that we need to have conversations across the divide, and I think when you're saying we need to have conversations across the divide, we're not running defense for making social media content. We have to remember that the majority of discourse that happens, at least historically, has been person to person in real life, which is a very different venue than online. I want Republicans and Democrats, I want leftists and Curtis Yarvin neo-monarchist types. I want them to actually debate things and argue about things, but I want them to do that in real life. Because the thing that actually, I think, influences the human mind, the human spirit, the human heart, is connection to other people. And that's just not simply, it's not something that can be had the same way through a screen, through a camera, as it can be done in real life. And so I would encourage people to speak to people in real life about the things that are important to them. But if I'm to give some specific rhetorical advice to people who do this, I would say that human beings are not actually as rational as we like to give ourselves credit for. We are more emotional, but this actually can be a good thing. So you can be really great at arguing, but still be really bad at actually communicating with people, be really terrible at influencing anyone. And that's because human beings don't really respond to arguments as much as they respond to just social influence and the perceiving the humanity of other people. Try to do some maintenance on your relationships with these types of people that you might disagree with. And when you're bringing up a topic that's really important to you, for example, for me, like trans rights are really, really important. That's something I talk about and very much differ from with all of my family. The thing that I do is instead of trying to say, hey, did you know that statistically speaking, knee replacement has higher regret rates than gender affirming care, which is true, by the way. They don't care about that. I say, I have, like, my best friend is trans, and they have gone through this and this and this in their life. This is what has brought them fear. This is what they're worried about happening in their near future because of this and this. This is how it affects their daily life experience. This is, on the other hand, what brings them joy. And I've actually found that when I do something like this, even my own quite transphobic family responds in a way that refuses to skip over the humanity of the person. And only when they're able to see me as a human being who's just trying to have a human conversation and my trans friend as a human being who deserves rights, only when they see that do they then go, okay, maybe it's not a good idea to try to eliminate them from public life, like Michael Knowles said at CPAC. So yes, absolutely have conversations with people that you disagree with, but don't pull out a camera, don't do it for spectacle, don't have an audience there, and do it in a way that centers on the humanity of people despite disagreement, rather than just centering around like facts and logic.
Mic drop question time, our fun question. So you're not going to debate people about creationism or fundamentalism anymore in public. Is there a topic that you would agree to a public debate about?
Okay. All right. So in this house, we are big fans of Star Trek Voyager. And at the end of Star Trek Voyager, 7 of 9, the ex-Borg, played by Jerry Ryan, gets with Chakotay, the first officer. This is a horrible decision, and what should have happened is she should have gotten with the doctor. I think the only reason why she didn't get with the doctor is because she's tall and blonde and he's short and bald. But Star Trek is all about pushing things to the new frontier, right? Including in relationships. This was the objectively correct directorial decision for Star Trek Voyager. Anyone can fight me on that. I'll do it.
I love that. I love that. I feel like 95% of really fun public debates come from Star Trek, honestly.
Yeah.
It has had so many great questions, like, would you go in the teleportation machine?
Yeah, and that's one that I'm not decided on. Someone might be able to convince me on that.
It's a fun thing to have a public debate about because the stakes are basically in the basement. So anyway, thank you, Drew. This is where I'm going to ask you to hype yourself, your channel, whatever you've got going on these days.
Yeah, you can find me at Genetically Modified Skeptic on YouTube. I make a video about every 2 weeks about a whole bunch of different things, talking about religion and politics. Lately, I've been talking a lot about my actual experiences at Christian college and being a fundamentalist homeschooler who was taught conspiracy theories in our very school curricula. So if you want to check that stuff out, Genetically Modified Skeptic on YouTube.
More relevant all the time. Thank you again. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And stick around for Encore. We have a Texas-based musical recommendation. Hey folks, I'm coming to you from Latchkey. It's my partner's record store here in Philadelphia. I'm really excited about this Encore Song of the Week because he's got a reissue of the 1991 album We Can't Be Stopped by the Ghetto Boys. It's a rare record, rare reissue. And the song I want to pick from this is Mind Playing Tricks on Me. It is a truly unique hip-hop song of the era, in part because the Ghetto Boys are a Houston-based band. At the time, there was this like hype that Texas was going to be the third coast. I was living in Texas in the 90s, so we listened to the music from Houston a lot. They did this music style called screw, where they would slow it down and make it kind of warped. It's an effect that was throughout this music. You hear it repeated a lot in hip hop now. DJs will kind of use it as just a little flavor. But back then it was, for the Houston hip hop scene, it was all over the place. And the Ghetto Boys were absolutely the most popular version of that screwed hip hop sound. This song is particularly interesting because in 1991, I think, a lot of hip-hop music was very fun and party-oriented still. You started to see bands like Public Enemy that were doing more interesting stuff coming out. But the Ghetto Boys have the song Mind Playing Tricks on Me that's really about losing your mind. It's about mental health issues. It's about going nuts. And it was very unique. And it is just a cool song. It's a banger. It's spooky. They are often seen as horrorcore as well, a genre that Eminem worked in later, where you're really playing with like tropes of horror and serial killer movies and really being extreme in that way, just in a way that's almost cartoonish. So yeah, the Ghetto Boys. Check out the record, 1991. The song's Mind Playing Tricks on Me. Thanks, y'all. If you want more Standing Room Only episodes, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Standing Room Only started as a newsletter, and it's free to read. Click the link to subscribe. I love tips. These political battles are playing out in our local communities, your family, your school, your neighborhood. If you have a story, go ahead and drop me a line, leave it in comments, and don't forget to subscribe.